Welcome. Welcome to the Anshe Sfard Beth Elameth congregation. And welcome to our webcast about Parshat Tazria Metzora, about the very difficult concept of tzaraat, of a form of leprosy, described in these two parshiot this coming Shabbat. If you'd like to email me about any of our discussions or questions, I'm at rabbijmf@gmail.com. I'd like to question the common assumption as to what tzaraat is all about, or what this leprosy, this Torah leprosy is all about. I'd like to offer a new theory, which I believe has application for us as we live in the modern era, as we live today, for us as Jews, as human beings, as individuals. The general assumption as to the meaning of tzaraat, of leprosy in the Torah, can be found in the Rambam. Rambam has extensive laws, 16 chapters of laws of tum'at tzaraat, the laws of the defiling nature of tzaraat, of this form of leprosy. And then finally he says that it's really not any one disease, says Dr. Maimonides, because the disease described as tzaraat here is not the same as the one described there, but rather, eino minhago shel olam, it's not part of the way of the world. Ela ot vafela haya b'Yisrael. It was a marvel and a special sign in Israel. K'di laziran min lashon hara, to guard us against lashon hara, against speaking slander, gossip, against our fellow individuals. That's what tzaraat is commonly known as. Rashi, in a number of places, Rashi, the famous French commentator, in a number of places indicates that he believes as well that tzaraat, this leprosy, comes as a result of our speaking slander, gossip, one against the other. But we have a number of questions about this general theory. Number one, Rashi himself contradicts himself. Rashi writes about the tzaraat habayis, about the leprosy of the house. And there in the commentary about the leprosy of the house, Rashi says, you're going to come to the land of Israel, and there you will be in the land of Canaan. I'll give you leprosy. Rashi says, that's bad news. You're going to come to Israel and you're going to get a plague on your house? So Rashi says, no, don't worry. It's a besorah hilahem, it's good news. Leprosy comes for good reason. The Amorites, the Canaanites, they buried all kinds of wonderful treasures in the walls of their houses. All the 40 years the Jews were said to be coming to the land. But through the plague on the house, the Kohen declares it a leprous house. You knock down the walls of the house, and in those walls you find the beautiful treasures found in your home that the Amorites had left. And with that, you have a blessing on your house in the land of Israel. So if leprosy can be a blessing, how is it a leprosy a punishment for lashon hara? What's the common denominator between the theory of Rashi, the Rambam, and the Midrashim? The leprosy comes for lashon hara, for slander and gossip, and the notion that leprosy can be a blessing. And furthermore, let's examine the 5 cases in the Torah where we have some kind of leprosy, and let's ask ourselves a question. What theory fits? Does the notion that it comes for lashon hara fit in these 5 cases? Surely the 5 cases of leprosy in the Torah would indicate what the purpose and reason and source of leprosy is all about. Well, let's take the case of Moshe Rabbeinu. Moses, our teacher, standing at the burning bush. He says, V'hein lo yaminu li. He says, they're not going to believe me. The man comes with a lisp and tries to tell them that they're going out of Egypt. They won't believe me. So he says, look, let's do the miracle with the staff turning into a snake. And then he says, look, put your hand in your bosom, perhaps in your shirt sleeve, inside his sleeve, and take it out. Sure enough, it was leprous. Put it back in. Sure enough, it returned as it was. If they don't believe the first sign, they'll believe the last sign. So let me get this straight. We're trying to convince the Jews of Moshe's authority. And he says, let me show you. You see, I put my hand away, and then I take it out and I get leprosy, which is for slander. And now that I've shown you that I'm a slanderer, let me put my hand back. Does this inspire confidence? This is the sign he gives the Jews, that he's a leper? That he speaks slander against the Jews themselves, according to Rashi himself? This doesn't quite fit. What's going on? Why would God tell Moshe to appear with leprosy before the Jews? And we have a second story of Miriam. Miriam, at the end of Parshat Baalotcha, speaks slander together with or at Aaron about Moshe. And she spoke about him, that's for sure. But there's only one problem. The response of Moshe, of God, to Miriam should have been, Miriam, we don't speak Lashon Hara, we don't speak slander. But no, the emphasis of God is that Moshe is different. Lo chen avdi Moshe. Moshe is quite different than your average person. Also, the average person you could speak against, but you can't speak against Moshe. Why does God emphasize the unique nature of Moshe and how she may be a prophetess, but a different type of prophetess than Moshe? Why is that the emphasis? If the emphasis is Lashon Hara, that tzaraat comes as a result of Lashon Hara, of gossip, why is there an emphasis on the difference between Miriam and Moshe? That's the second case. Third case is found in the Tanakh, in the books of the prophets. There in the book of Melachim, Melachim Bet, Perak Hey, the second book of Kings, chapter 5, tells the story of Naaman. Naaman was a Sar Tzava Melech Aram. He was an Aramean general. Ish Gadol Lifnei Adonav. He was very big, important man. So fanim, everyone paid homage to him. God had helped Aram be very victorious, great northern power. But there was one problem. He had tzaraat. He was a Metzora. He was a leper. Do we have any evidence that Naaman was a slanderer? What was the story of Naaman? Well, there in Aram, there was a little girl, a Jewish girl, who unfortunately was taken captive by the Arameans. And she said to the wife of this Naaman, she said, you know, we have someone in Israel who could cure your husband. The wife tells the general sends a message to the king of Israel and says, that's it, I'm sending you Naaman, and he's going to cure you from your leprosy. You have to cure him from his leprosy. King of Israel says, cure him from his leprosy? How am I supposed to cure him? This is some kind of an excuse to come and kill the Jews and rampage. The great power of Aram, the great general, is coming to kill me. Elisha, the prophet, gets wind of this through his prophecy, and he says, really? There's no Melech b'Yisrael? He says, there is a prophet among Israel. We can solve this problem. Send him to me. The general comes to Israel. And sure enough, the prophet sends a messenger and says, go ahead, dunk yourself in the Jordan. The Jordan is a little river. Dunk yourself in the river 7 times, you'll be fine. So Naaman says, what, me? I'm going to dunk myself in this little dingy river. We have better rivers. Where I come from in Mesopotamia, we have Amna, Parpar, Narot Damasek, all the rivers of Damascus. We don't need these dingy rivers of Israel. I came all the way here for that. I thought that he would wave his hand and make my leprosy go away. I'm very disappointed. I'm going home. So his servant said, you know, it's not a big deal. Just go dunk in the river. Let's see what happens. Sure enough, he goes in the river. And he comes out with the skin of a baby. Amazing. Comes back and he thanks the prophet. He wants to give him lots of gold and silver, but the prophet says, no, I don't want it. Please, no, I won't take it. Then the servant Gehazi, the prophet's servant, Gehazi, his protege, he comes and says, oh, actually, my master will take it. And he takes the money. Elisha, having heard this, curses Gehazi, his student, and says that you should have the tzaraat of Naaman, you should have the leprosy of Naaman. So in this third and fourth case, Naaman and Gehazi, we don't find any slander, any gossip, and yet they are stricken with leprosy. Why?